Yes?
Corporal? Interesting.
Corporal? Need anything?
How are you holding up?
Fine, I guess. Thanks for asking. You know, Corporal, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Yes?
Well, not knowing your mother and all that shit your father put you through. Do you ever feel lost?
Why do you want to know?
Oh, I'm just wondering, I guess. So, what's your answer?
Only dogs can help him. Okay.
I manage.
I see. You know, I haven't told you that yet, but actually our pasts aren't so different. Save for the fact that my father didn't try to conquer the world, at least not that I know.
How are our pasts alike then?
Simply put, I also didn't know my mother. And my father was a bastard if there ever was one.
What happened to your mother?
She died giving birth to me.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. As I said, I never knew her.
I take it you and your father aren't on good terms then?
You are of great wisdom, Tahar. No, we were not. I was and still am the only heir of the family, and if there's anything my father ever cared about, it was prestige. You see, it might not be obvious, but I'm actually of noble blood. Pure blood, as Finn and Mir elves call it. Nothing impressive, small nobility. You know, similar to the kind of Nortander nobility that's always around at royal festivities, licking everyone's boots so that they just don't forget about them.
There's nobility in Finn and Mir?
Oh, yes, there is. They don't call it that, but essentially
The
Finn
one
and
and
Mir
only
is
top
an
100 god
aristocracy.
game on Village
How so?
Player.
Well, as you might know,
No
elven
one else.
culture heavily revolves around the white tree,
no
a
one
gift
left.
from their goddess Ellen. Simply put,
How
the
we
tree
say.
is revered and guarded by a group of mages, of seers, called the Council. They're the rulers of our country, 6 women and 6 men. Now, according to the ancient lore, when a seer dies, his or her successor is chosen by the Council. However, it has become custom that a seer should be replaced by someone from his bloodline. Someone pure, as they call it.
Which means they make sure that the power stays within the right families.
Indeed. And even though elven families in themselves are small, if you count all the cousins, aunts, and uncles, the members of just one council family could populate a whole township. In other words, the closer your blood ties with the council, the closer you are to the white tree. And thus, the higher your standing.
So I assume your father put you under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I barely had a childhood. It was all stern-faced teachers instead, trying to feed me language, history, math, and magic from the day I could speak. And I can't even remember all those festivities and religious ceremonies I had to attend. It was as if I learned the meaning of the word small talk before I learned how to ask for my mother's teat. Not that she would have been around to listen.
How about friends?
Oh, that's another topic. I was allowed to go out and play as long as it was with the right people. Still, I didn't, which was my choice, really. One of the few I made in those years. I preferred to stay on my own.
How come?
I don't know. See, I've always felt a bit ahead of others. As you know, we think in other dimensions than you do. Our lives are a lot longer. What that means is that an elf who has seen 20 winters is still considered and looks like a child. Thus, behaves as such. I just never felt at home with most people. Especially around my age. And that feeling never changed.
What was your father hoping to gain from this?
Isn't it obvious? He wanted to marry me off, and thus expand our petty little family's prestige.
But it never came to that.
Almost.
If he simply wanted to arrange a marriage for you, then why teach you magic, maths? When these things happen in Nortander, it's usually more about, how shall I put it?
The looks?
And the ancestry, yes.
Well, these things play a big role in Finn and Mir too, but to be considered a good match, education and magical talent are just as important. For a priest, let alone a pure blood, to be seen with an uneducated, non-gifted street elf is frowned upon, not to say forbidden. Also, from what I've learned, it's mostly young women and girls who get married off in Nortander, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, this isn't the case in Finn and Mir. If the head of a family decides to do so, A young boy or a young man may have the same fate as the one I just escaped by a hair's breadth. This is a topic you could fill books with. Probably not for now.
I see. Where is your father now?
Dead as a doornail. He got assassinated some years before I was allowed into the priesthood.
Assassinated? What happened?
He got mistaken for someone else. But it doesn't really matter. Let's not talk about it.
Sounds like he got what he deserved.
I don't believe people get what they deserve. They get whatever life or the Guardians bother to give them. Murderers live to be 100. Children die in the birth beds. Ultimately, the biggest fallacy is that we like to believe that there's someone who gives a damn. We're on our own, and we have to make the best out of whatever life throws at us. I did. And even though not all worked out as I had planned, I'm here. And I'm free.
But the Guardians are real.
I never said that they weren't. But tell me one thing. Why is there cruelty when there's Shanna? Why is there injustice when there's Arian? Why do children die when there's Ellen? There are two explanations. Number one, the Guardians are far less powerful than we think. Number two, they just don't give a damn.
It's a real-time strategy role-playing game. It's pretty good, but we are currently in the role-playing part, so it's just talking.
Or maybe we're just not meant to understand. Maybe their ways are unfathomable.
Yeah, right. Maybe it's all just unfathomable. Let's just accept that and live in ignorance, shall we? The gods aren't the answer. Yeah, every once in a while there's the token miracle healing. The chances of your prayers being answered are next to none. So you can either sit on your buttocks hoping that some god will take pity, or you can take your fate into your own hands.
That's a cynical way to see things.
No more cynical than to believe that the gods care.
Why?
Well, if you had the power to intervene without risk and you don't, what does that make you? A textbook cynic, and definitely not someone I'd like to have a drink with, let alone worship.
But you still feel lost sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But I'm working on it. Anyway, we digressed quite a bit, didn't we? Sorry, my fault. Sometimes I just talk too much. I'll see you around, Tahar. And thanks for listening.
So when's the Affinity stuff happening? It's still locked.
Yes?
Let me take a look.
Of course. Take all the time you need.
I'm sure I have just what you need.
Also, how can we upgrade Iskram's armor? Do we have to
Let's see.
put it in there? Can't.
Understood.
Ah, yes.
Unbelievable. All this.
Must be quite a change of scenery.
Yes, you could say that. All my life I dreamed of stepping through the portal, and now I did. And it's beautiful. Everything is so vast. Oh well. It will take some getting used to, that's for certain. There's something else I wanted to discuss with you.
I'm gonna come.
I brought some things from the island that could come in handy on your travels. Weapons, trinkets, all sorts of things I found in the Hibernian ruins over the years. Most of them haven't been used for millennia, but for a little gold, I could get them back into shape. Just let me know if you want to take a look.
I will. Thank you.
You're an adventurer, aren't you?
And he
Don't
has
take
one
a look.
item,
I'm
really?
Sure I've got something that might spark your interest.
Oh, but he sells potions.
You
That's
know
good.
how to bargain, don't you?
Kandai Tahar. Come to trade?
Everything for the wary traveler. fair offer.
A fine plan.
So much gold again already.
Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
Still no sticker part here. Can we just not see the bow? There is no...
Oh my god!
Sounds like a plan.
Sure. Fine.
Wait, why is this
So,
sticker,
what's the plan?
sticker so huge now? Why is always something different? Like, it just keeps changing. My god. Was it always that big?
Tahar, finally! Do you have the stone?
I do. What now? How do we connect it to the Nexus?
Well, I've done a little research on that. It should be pretty straightforward. Give me the stone for a second, please.
Sure.
Thanks. Now, let's see. Whoa!
This is amazing. What the heck just happened? Was that the stone?
Yeah. It seems like our plan worked. The stones are the power sources of the Nexus.
Not sources, Tahar. They're simply the catalysts. As I said, the energy, all this magic, it comes from someplace else.
Well, I definitely know why the Shapers were so powerful now. If they were able to harness that, I wouldn't want to be their enemy.
Pain.
Pardon?
Rekindling this place. I can feel their thoughts now. At least, some of them.
You mean the Shaper's thoughts?
Those who connected themselves to this place. The ones who had the power of telepathy. They left an echo, and whatever wiped out the Shapers, it caused pain. Horrible pain.
I see.
Well, fascinating or not, we need to connect our minds to the Nexus to find the source of Bloodburn, right? Can we do that now?
No, it's not strong enough yet.
Well, we knew that already. We need to find the second stone first. Let's head to Aernir's Blade. It's a long journey, but we don't have a choice.
As you want.
I don't know if you want to go down that road, BTO. Yeah,
Sure.
just just a little heads up. You might wanna rethink.
We should get moving.
A fine plan.
No.
Exciting, isn't it? All that energy. The Shapers must have been gods.
True. It's intriguing.
That's one word for it. Tahar, I need to say this. I'm glad the Harbinger sent you. You've made a dream of mine come true. More than one, to be honest. But anyway, we still need that second stone. Is there something you wish to discuss? Yeah, do you need something? I'm a tad busy.
I'd still like to know more about how you ended up in Nortender.
Bugger and blast. And here I was hoping you'd forgotten. All right, I'll tell you. But only under one condition.
Yes?
That I get to ask you a personal question too.
Deal.
Then we have a deal. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Fair enough. I was
Salty
born in
rich?
the
How
Windwall
rich?
Mountains.
He just left the tier 3 sub running for a year and didn't care about it. So yeah, I think like 3 years ago or 2 on my birthday he just dropped 10k bits. He has a lot of money. Enough to not care about money. So, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you.
Sorry, still sorting out my thoughts. It's been a long time since I last told this story to anyone. Alright, one more time. As you can imagine, I was born in Windwall, a child of the rocks.
Come again?
A true dwarf, as some would say. Born in the buried city, not on the outside as the traders and farmers are. My family was quite privileged. Not nobility, but my mother and father led a big smeltery which supplied one of the finest smithies. Moon silver weaponry. Ever heard of it?
I think so. The commanders of the Royal Army use them.
Figures. Well, my childhood was a rather unremarkable one. I had 2 brothers and a sister, and even though I was the oldest child, I was always the most quiet one. I learned quickly how to wield an axe, and I still know how to do it, but I never took pleasure in it. Same goes for my parents' craft. For some reason, Nihalf had given me a talent for metallurgy, but not the desire to use it. Instead, my biggest love was always made with ink. Books.
But I assume your parents didn't approve of that.
Oh no, they didn't mind. I had 3 siblings who could do the job as well as I, so the future of our family was secured. On the contrary, they were quite accepting, which wasn't usual amongst dwarves, especially not those in Windwall.
I would be, if I saw some stuff right now, I would call it a liquidate. What does liquidate mean? You're flüssig?
Oh my god!
Oh my god. No, it's like... What have I missed? Yeah, we talked about her ritual, yes. Pretty much. He's rich. Not rich, but he has money.
Are the surface dwarfs different?
Depends. There are some who are very open-minded. For example, the traders who get around a lot. On the other hand, there are some who are as ignorant as the Windwallers.
Dwarves are traditionalists, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they are. They love their brawls, they love their ale, and they love their metal crafting. And they never miss a chance to tell the outside world just how much they do.
Well, to be honest, when I think of dwarven culture, that's exactly what comes to my mind.
See? And that's the problem. There's always diversity in every race. There are soft-hearted orcs, there are elves who don't give a damn about the white tree, and there are humans with... well, you get the point. What I'm trying to say is, many dwarves love living these traditions, but there are some like me who just don't fit in. This is one of the reasons why I appreciate you and this group so much, Tahar. Aenir's tools or not, we're all pariahs, in one way or another.
So, what happened? Why did you leave Windwall?
I'm getting there, Tahar. When I came of age, I found work in the Windwall
work?
Library. That time was also when I deepened my knowledge of the
Activate
Shapers.
stream stickers.
I devoured
works as
all the
Peter.
books there
Oh,
were,
yeah.
and bought whatever writings the merchants brought in. They smiled at me, talked of me as the strange bird, but I didn't care. The more I read, the more spellbound I became, and the more I dreamed of journeying through EO to solve all those mysteries not yet uncovered.
It does work. PTR so far through 2100 bits in my face. You're 200 away from the party. What's up, Sabo?
Are there Shaper ruins
How
in
you
the
doing?
Windwall Mountains?
Hardly. And those that are there are buried beneath miles and miles of rock. Impossible to access without a huge expedition.
Huh. And what kept you from doing just that?
Well, two things. First of all, my attachment to my family. Secondly, Gilak,
Gilead?
my partner.
You had a partner?
Yeah, we met... I'd rather not go into detail too much. Fact is, we lived together for 6 years. He was very dear to me. Let's put it that way.
I didn't even say anything, but you assumed I was here. Everyone assumes you're here, Kasha. Everyone who goes into my chat and you've not said anything for 5 minutes, people are like, where's Kasha? When does the sticker party happen? And if someone gives another sticker. It's every 1,000 bits worth of stickers.
What are dwarven families like?
Similar to their human counterparts, I believe. Having family and offspring is considered to be very important, especially if you're of noble blood.
But living with someone of the same sex is acceptable?
Well, yes and no. If you do, you don't talk about it, and you should make sure to find yourself a wife or a husband to found a proper family, eventually, and bring new children of stone into the world, even if that family is just a charade. If you don't do that, you're frowned upon. There's even a word for a childless dwarf, man or woman. Galrag, which roughly translates as dusty boulder. Very amusing, I know.
That's sad.
Well, I doubt it's going to change anytime soon. And once again, the
His
Shapers
Grim's
were
gay.
different in that regard. As long as you stay within the boundaries of your caste, you can do as you pleased.
Didn't see that coming. I will when it's free. Maya drop a sticker. I started playing this game called V Rising. It's nice. Yeah, I've seen about it a little bit, I think. It's top-down stuff as well, where you build stuff, right? Yeah, Isgrim is a Mista. That surprised me. Same.
I understand. But something happened, didn't it?
Yeah. The Blackstone Rebellion. Ever heard of it?
Yes. A coup, wasn't it?
Yeah. An attempt to overthrow the royal house. It was bound to fail from the beginning. The rebels were anti-traditionalist and wanted to establish a new order, where it's the people who have the power, not the nobility. Gilak was one of these rebels.
Oh.
Yeah. At first, before the coup, they tried to raise awareness by giving underground speeches. A noble endeavor, but not at all thought through. Most dwarves just don't care about politics as long as they can have their mugs of ale. First, he didn't ask me to participate, but the more sour things went, the more he started pushing me. At one point, we had a fight, when he asked me to steal money from my family to support the movement. It was terrible. Finally, push came to shove, and he told me of the coup. He knew that despite my occupation, I was a remarkable fighter and Earthshaper, which is why he asked me to fight alongside him. You can make a difference, that's what he said. By Nihalf, he was just so naive. He really thought it would be like in the old legends, a group of courageous dwarfs fighting their way to Algrim Castle with me at his side. I just don't... Forgive me. It's strange to talk about it like this.
It's okay. Thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, sure. You can imagine how torn I was. I knew he'd die if the coup took place, but I also knew that I couldn't stop him. When I told him he was mad, he called me a coward, a delusional bookworm, who'd rather spend his whole life dreaming about the past and changing the present.
Enjoy a coffee,
Then he
BTR.
left. The next day, I found him beheaded by a royal guard. They didn't even make it to the castle stairs.
I'm sorry, Iskrin.
It's all right.
Why didn't you tell the guard about the movement's plans? They could have stopped him.
Yeah, they could have. Only to execute him and all his friends the next morrow.
It's Canada Day today.
Tahar, believe me, I thought about this quite a lot. About what I could or should have done.
I didn't know that.
And do you want to know the saddest part of it?
What?
I came to the conclusion that I did nothing wrong. He had his mind set.
Happy
And
Canada
nothing I
Day.
could have said would have changed what had been about to happen. In the end, there's only so much you can do.
What happened
say that?
then?
I ran. Not only because I'd rather have died than returned to that empty house of ours, but also because they would have arrested me too. Our relationship wasn't a secret, and in their eyes, I was as eccentric as Gilak and his friends. And we all know how dangerous eccentrics are, don't we? I left my family a letter, telling them not to come after me. Bought a horse and rode as far as it would take me before collapsing. That was 9 years ago. I haven't returned ever since.
What about your family? Did you ever hear from them again?
Not directly. Every now and then, I return to a big city to find a dwarf who can tell me about Windwall. But the thought of returning, I don't know. I know it's cruel toward them, but I just don't think I could ever bear setting foot in those cursed stone halls again.
I see. And since then, you've been studying the Shapers?
Yeah. If there really is, as people say, a silver lining to everything, then this would be it. I'm finally doing what I was too afraid to do back in Windwall. I'm living my dream. Though the price I paid for it was high. And you know what, Tahar?
What?
There's a third reason to my fascination with the Shapers I haven't told you about yet. It's Gilak. Stupid as it may sound, there's a part of me who wants to prove him wrong. To show him that the past has value, that it can guide us towards a better world.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing this, Iskrin. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It felt good to talk about it. I didn't expect that. But you're not off the hook yet. The question, remember?
Right. Shoot.
Your past is even more unusual than mine. Growing up with a man like Isamu Tahar as your father? Without a mother? And then the whole thing with the Mage rebellion? I know you've been through a lot. Now, I was wondering, if you could trade that past you've had for a different one, would you do it?
What kind of a past could I choose? Anything?
Anything.
No. Yes. No. Doesn't matter. No. Yeah. No.
I wouldn't.
That surprises me, to be honest. But I think I understand. Either way, pleasure speaking with you. Hope this wasn't too grim for you, but then again, you asked for it. Give me some time now, will you?
Sure. Take care, Iskrin.
Bastion?
Huh?
Damn. Okay. Oh, we got level up soon. Nice.
Yes, Corporal? How can I help?
Well, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. How did you become an assassin?
Why do you want to know?
No particular reason, I suppose. I'm just curious.
Huh. I see. In short, my mother sold me. And after an incident, my owner noticed my talents.
How do you feel about this? Your mother selling you off?
Well, I used to feel strongly about it. Now I've simply accepted it as part of my past. But there are plenty of reasons for that.
For me, it works most of the time. What do you mean most of the time?
You're saying there's a slave market in Greyfell?
Slaves, sex, murdering for pleasure. Just imagine every dark desire you can think of. And you know what the Greyfell Bazaar has to offer. I find it interesting that this surprises you. Didn't you serve in the Royal Army for 8 years?
I only joined shortly before the Mage Wars started, and the Greyfell affairs were the responsibility of the Greyfell Guard. I just didn't know.
Well, now you do. I do not agree with the purity of light in most aspects. But they are right when they say there are many sinners in this world. If you believe in the concept of sin, that is.
Is there an RTS you recommend? To be fair, I've not really played modern ones. Not really. I mean, I've played a lot of Stronghold. Yeah, Stronghold is really nice. Stronghold is fun. I've played a lot of Command & Conquer 1. Command & Conquer Red Alert. I mean, depends on what you're looking for. Like, just RTS, doesn't matter if turn-based or not. You know, you have like RTS where you have like sectors you have to capture and stuff. Turn-based sucks. Yeah, I'm not a fan of turn-based either. Some are good, but I mean, I want to play Song of Conquest, which is kind of like Heroes of Might and Magic, but
Even if she needed the money, that's despicable.
Well, to her credit, she didn't take it lightly. At least as far as I can remember. I was only 7 when that happened.
That doesn't make it better. That's quite the story.
Is it?
Age of Empires is nice. Age of Empires 2 is really good. The new one is okay-ish, I guess. I haven't really played it a lot. But it's in the... I think it's in the Xbox Pass. So you could just get that for €1 for like a month. And
So,
see if you
who is
like
this
it.
man who bought you?
I won't talk about that. This chapter of my past is done, and I want it to stay buried.
Are you hiding something?
That sounds like you're hiding something.
I am. But it should be of no relevance to you. So, tell me, Pariah. How did you become the betrayer's child in the first place? It's rare for a child to defy their own father.
It's complicated.
You don't want to share this with me, do you? Well, I will not pressure you. Either way, is there anything else you need?
There's something I've been wondering. How can you kill for a living?
What do you mean? How can I align it with my morals?
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right moment for this conversation. Maybe another time.
For some reason 2 is blocked? What do you mean?
Fine.
Age of Empires 2? Where? On Steam? I don't know if it's in the Xbox Pass. I think it should be, because it's... Are you looking at the definitive edition? I think Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is also on Xbox though. On the Xbox Pass.
Tahar, what is it?
There's one thing I've been wondering about. After we parted at the hideout, what exactly happened? How did you and my father part ways?
Good question. I guess it all started with the relics, the tomes. You remember them, right?
Yes. He was hoping they'd help him to win the war.
Exactly. And there was this one moment when he found the 5th tome. When I came to a realization. You see, there were all those bodies. Enemies, but also many of our people. We had shed so much blood, Tahar. But Asamo, he didn't care. If there was any grief in his eyes, I couldn't see it. And as dramatic as it may sound, that's when I finally understood that we had lost our cause. This wasn't about ideals, about us mages anymore. It was about him. Whatever his intentions had become.
And that's the reason Zane, Helena, and I betrayed him. Come on, do you really want to tell us you didn't see that before? The tomes were all about power.
I knew it was about power. But Asamo always told us that he would use that power for the greater good. And it's not that far off. I mean, can't you imagine? With the power of the tomes, we could have united the world. Even made it a better one. No more persecution of the deviant. No more wars. No more suffering.
Yeah, you can get Twitch Turbo and it removes ads on every channel, I think. So you will never get them again. But I think it's €6 a month for Twitch Turbo, at least.
Maybe. But my father certainly wasn't the one
You
who
will
should
never
lead
put
it.
money on Twitch?
Maybe not.
Fair enough. How did I just level up?
Yes, as you want.
Yes?
A fine plan.
Beautiful, aren't they? These glyphs. Since we reignited the Nexus, they seem to have become a little brighter.
The entire knowledge of the Shapers. If only we knew how to access it.
Well, we sort of do, don't we? Isgrim knows how to read the Shaper tongue.
Oh my
It takes
god!
centuries to decipher all of this. Anyway, still one stone to go. Something you want to talk about, Tahar?
Yes, what is it?
Where did you grow up? You don't look Nortandian.
I do not, that is correct. I grew up in Imperia.
Imperia? That's a long way from here.
I know, but I hardly have any memories. My parents fled from the Civil War and set over to Northander when I was only 4 years old.
So you were refugees?
Yes, much like many Nortandians are now. We lived in the Utran lands, and my parents are still there.
I mean, I have too many skills. It's so stupid that you don't have a third bar to put them on. Like, it's really annoying.
And when did you discover your magic?
At a very early age. I believe I was 7 at that time. I must have had an outbreak, but I can hardly remember any of it. All I know is that my mother's employer, who was a mage himself, immediately took me in. I went to Everlight when I was 10, and did not leave there ever since. Until now.
I did play Supreme Commander, but never for a long time. I don't think I've played Supreme Commander 2. I didn't even know there was a 2. Did I play 2?
Impressive.
But Supreme Commander. Oh, I think I played Forged Alliances. Supreme Commander Forged Alliances. Not the original Supreme Commander. But I think they're kind of the same. The game was really hard though, if I remember correctly. I've only played a little bit and I was like, okay, what the fuck is even going on? Looks pretty cool though. I might give it another go at some point.
What's it like to live in Northander as an Imperial?
Well, it was my impression that Utron people are by nature a lot more skeptical towards outsiders than, for example, the citizens of Everlight. All in all, however, I cannot complain. Both my father and my mother found work quite quickly, and thanks to my occupation as first scholar of the Creators Guild, they now live a quite comfortable life.
Interesting. You're the first Empyrean I've met.
I'm not surprised.
I've noticed that you use both white and black magic in combat. I've never seen anyone do that before. Don't the two schools exclude each other?
Normally, yes. The essence of white and of black magic deeply oppose each other. Trying to combine both of them usually has a similar effect on a mage's mind as adding water onto a patch of burning oil. I, however, never had that problem. The first time I found out was at the Arcane University in Greyfell, where I studied. The white magic spell I had cast on a rabbit to heal his wounded paw accidentally killed it. I was very young at that time, and I knew my professor would be upset if he found out, so I channeled my energy on undoing what I had done. As a result, I created an undead rabbit. It immediately went feral, and I put it back to sleep. But rather than feeling the terrible headache that had been described to us as an effect of combining these two schools, I felt a slight sense of, well, exhilaration. I secretly continued these experiments during my studies, and found out that whatever it is that causes this mental discord among normal mages did not affect me.
Do you have an explanation for this?
No, I do not. Maybe it has to do with the way my mind is structured, or maybe it is a simple coincidence.
Huh. Well, that's all. Goodbye. Yes?
Huh?
Guess we're almost done talking, huh?
What's it like to change form? I've been wondering about that since I met you.
I can imagine. It's exhilarating and strange at the same time. If it taught me one thing, then it's how foolish it is to put the mind above every other aspect of the body. Many people do that, especially scholars or mages.
What do you mean?
Because the shape of our flesh is so much more than just a shell. It defines us. When I take on the form of a wolf, for example, this wolf isn't just me with fangs and paws. It's a different version of myself.
A different version?
Yes. You can understand if you haven't been there. But I guess you could say that when I'm taking on a creature's form, a part of my mind gets infused with that creature's essence. The thirst for the hunt. Thinking as part of a pack, just to name the most obvious aspects. They meld with my mind. When I was young and first started shifting, the creature always dominated. It was like a feverish dream, and I had almost no control over my actions. With time, it got better.
How do you learn a new form?
That's complicated. First, you have to understand that creature, observe it, live with it if possible. That can take months, years, sometimes decades. Then there's what we shamans call the first joining. You have to visualize your shift.
What the
How does
fuck?
that work?
I can't explain it. It's like your first
Why would you say that?
It can't be explained, only experienced.
So in theory, could you transform into anything? Even, say, a wyvern? A dragon?
In theory, yes. In practice, there's no known shapeshifter who has ever done that. Save for old orcish legends, maybe.
Why not?
First off, there aren't many dragons around to study. And even if there were, you aren't likely to survive it. Secondly, transforming into something that enormous, it can be lethal. Our minds, our essence just isn't fit to govern such a massive body. Only some years ago, there was talk of an Ash Reaver shifter who had attempted to morph into a troll. He succeeded, but his heart, the troll's heart, stopped before he could take a single step. So you see why most shifters aren't that eager to experiment.
Well, that's definitely interesting. Thanks for taking the time to explain.
Sure.
How did you become a shapeshifter?
I was chosen.
And how does that work?
Complicated. Are you sure you want to hear the whole story? Time isn't exactly on our side.
It isn't, but the more I know about your abilities, the better. You're fighting for me, after all.
We're not fighting for you, Tahar. We are fighting alongside each other. That's a big difference.
Alongside, then.
Good. Let's make it short then. Shapeshifting is a gift of Zarek. One that only the best of his shamans are granted.
And how does one become a shaman?
He has to be chosen by a tribe's chieftain. You see, magical talent is a lot rarer among orcs than it is among humans or elves. In my tribe, there was only me and Rain. We both discovered our talent by chance. I, when I was 9, and put out a fire that had broken out in my family's hut. Everybody was asleep, even the damn fool that had been tasked to stand guard. When I woke up, the entire room was in flames.
So it was your magic that woke you?
No, I needed to take a piss.
Makes sense. What happened then?
I panicked and started screaming, as every child would have. However, the only thing that did was make me inhale the fumes even quicker. My vision blurred and I lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was on a bed of hay in the village shaman's tent, and everybody was staring at me, as if I was Zarek incarnate. I asked what happened and they told me. Just when I had lost consciousness, it had started to rain. Not just a little. It was a full-fledged storm, a deluge from the skies. With not even a minute, all the tents in the village had been flooded. The fire wasn't extinguished right away, but was quickly put out by the other orcs that had been awoken by the storm.
That's impressive.
Well, it was also my last successful weather ritual. If it hadn't been, Barker Gore would be all meadows and forests by now. According to my brothers, I had an orange shimmer in my eyes and was muttering strange words when they took me to the shaman. She told me that was a clear sign that I was gifted and that I had fire in my blood, as my tribe likes to say. Of course, it changed my life entirely. All of a sudden, I was my Cal's pride. It was strange, not just for me, but also for my kin.
How did your family take it?
Well, they were proud.
Story time, huh?
But they also weren't sure how to treat me anymore. For example, my father stopped taking me out on the hunt because he was afraid that something might happen. Which is ridiculous. Shaman or not, an orc who can't wield a spear isn't an orc at all. Also, my siblings became withdrawn. Jealousy, of course, but also estrangement. All of a sudden, their baby brother had become this strange being, which had apparently been bitten by Zarek himself.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Don't be dramatic. There's worse fates than being the one gifted orc among thousands.
Who trained you? The healer?
Yes, but only about her craft. Primitive ghost callings, alchemy, medicine. I learned my magic from an elder who lived in a tiny shack a 15-mile march from our village. I woke up every day before dawn, walked for 2 hours, served him, and received my lessons. Then returned to my cow shortly before midnight. It was hard, yes, but it was insightful. Those long walks in the darkness, the solitude at the foot of the mountain where his shack was, they shaped me.
Interesting. And who is this Rain you mentioned earlier?
Did I? Well, that's complicated. I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
Well,
Just give the word.
I guess that's all of them.
Yes? Looking for some orcish craftsmanship?
Sure. I mean, 4K.
Yes? Looking for some orcish craftsmanship?
There's actually quite a bit in reduction, huh? What is that, 15%?
Corporal?
Yes? Looking for some orcish craftsmanship?
And I think we can sell those scribbled notes, right? But yeah, let's skill, and I think we get them. Not sure if we wanna keep going Constitution. Nice to see you main orc and not elf. Why? Why? Because you like orcs more? What's my damage spells based on? I think it's all willpower. Constitution, willpower. No, I played only elf, so it's like fresh air. Ah, I see. I'm just not gonna skill with her for now. Because there's not really anything I want to skill with her at the moment. Luckily, I lost half of my amulets, get them up with a spell that has 7-second cooldown. What the fuck? That sounds kinda broken to me. Grim, more constitution. I don't care about the other ones. Oh, okay. Well, anyways. That was a lot of talking. Actually, you know
Yes?
what?
Looking for some orcish craftsmanship?
I like how this all increases attack power and resistance, but not for goblins. Give me that. Okay, now we're safe. That was made some good progress today. Beat another map.